Hey there folks, my name is Peter, and on today's video we are going to try and clean some tools that are pretty old. So here's my plan. I've got this ultrasonic cleaner. This thing has been amazing. I used it on the video when I did my spring maintenance on my lawnmower, which I'll have to do again here soon, to clean the nuts and bolts from everything. Once they go through this bath, then they're going to go in a Evapo-Rust bath. My understanding is that if you can get a lot of like the surface stuff off of them, this stuff works a lot better, hence the ultrasonic. And then from there, I've got some like metal and aluminum polish. It says perfect for all metals. I don't know the rate at which you're supposed to be polishing tools, but again, we're just gonna try it and see what happens. I would love to get this stuff in my toolbox, and frankly, it's all functional. I just want some practice with cleaning stuff and getting it back to life. And then finally, we'll just wipe it down with some WD-40 to protect it from rusting in the future. I hope you'll join me on this journey. We're inching ever so close to 1,000 subscribers, so if you're into EDC tools or do-it-yourself projects, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Let's get into cleaning. Now, one of the things that's nice about this ultrasonic is that you can actually do heat as well as cleaning. Some of the cheaper ones just allow you to clean with the vibration, but this one you can also heat up. Now, I haven't seen a great table that tells you the temperature that you should be using. But in my case, what I'm thinking is that this is all heavy metal stuff. We should be able to get it fairly hot, and we're certainly not gonna warp any of it. So I'm gonna set it, so its highest setting is 80. I think that must be Celsius. Right now it says it's 12 Celsius. So this is gonna take a little bit of time to heat up. And then ultimately, I think we're gonna run it for, we'll try 20 minutes and see how that goes. Now I also have this jewelry cleaner. This is Jewelry and Eyewear Ultrasonic Cleaning Concentrate. I wouldn't think that this could hurt any of our materials here. I think it can only really help. So we're just gonna do a little drop. I've used this in the past to clean rings and watch bands and necklaces and stuff like that. And of course, like I said, I've used it to clean the nuts and bolts, but never a tool itself. There's some stuff here that if I could break it down, I would prefer that. But I just don't think that I can. I mean, the vice grips here, this is fully riveted. And then I've got this pretty cool Snap-on 5/8 model number R-720 ratcheting wrench here. And you can see that the dirt is really caked on. But again, there's no way to disassemble this as best I could tell. You'd have to like drill these rivets, and we're certainly not gonna do that. And you can also see my grandfather engraved his initials in there, which is pretty cool. And then I was doing a little bit of research about some of these tools on the table. So this is a New Britain, looks like a 1/2-inch extension. So I guess New Britain Tool Company was founded in like the 30s in New Britain, Connecticut. And I think at one point they owned the Husky brand. I don't know if it's the same Husky brand that's now owned by Home Depot. I would assume that it is. And so I think they went out of business in like 1990. But this was all made in the USA. I don't know when my grandfather would have bought it, but it's been around quite a while. This is a Craftsman made in the USA 3/8 extension. And then finally, I think this is a Mac. Yep, this is a Mac tool made in the USA. Another, actually that might be a 1/4-inch extension. So we'll drop them in there. And with this, once you drop everything in, you set your timer. Now it's a little loud, it's sort of annoying. The dog hates it. If I have to on the video, I'll dampen it a little, but we're gonna let it run for 20 minutes, see how they look. All right, so after 18 minutes, you can see the water is sort of discolored. I don't know that there's anything, you know, incredible that took place, but certainly, I mean, they look a lot cleaner than they once did. There's still some gunk down in the middle there, but I mean, the ratchet itself, or excuse me, the extension here, this is the Mac, looks night and day difference from what it once did. This is the Craftsman. This one, I still see some rust inside there, so I think that'll do well. And you know what, I'll probably just throw them all in the Evapo-Rust, why not? And then you know what else I may do for inside of here is just get out my Dremel with a little wire wheel and just make sure that's all cleaned out. All right, I can't wait any longer on the big dogs. So when I did the research on these, I think these are in fact original vice grips. All right, another 20 minutes for the vice grips. This water is dirtier than the previous water. So I definitely think we made some progress here. And you can see now that this water is steaming. I don't know if it's coming through in the video so much, but we're definitely getting up to our temperature. These things, you know, you could still tell obviously that they got a lot of rust on them. So these are gonna do really well for it in the rust remover, but we can start to make out more of the textual information on here. What does this say? DeWitt, USA, Peterson, NFG. I don't know. And obviously you could definitely tell it says Vice Grip. So making good progress. So like I said, this is our Snap-on 5/8. Throw that in there. This is a Thorson. Looks like a 3/8 breaker bar. I did a little bit of research on Thorson. I guess funnily enough, amongst the co-founders, nobody's name was Thorson, so nobody really knows where this name came from, but another USA tool company. I think they were founded in like 1920, and obviously I don't know, I don't think this is from the 1920s. This is probably from the 40s, 50s, 60s, somewhere in that range, but otherwise seems like it's in good shape, and we just want to get it cleaned up. I'm going to throw these pliers in there too. Now, as you can see at this point, this water, you can't even see through it, and it's steaming. So the heat is definitely working for us. Next step is to get all the stuff inside of our EvapoRust. Truth be told, I bought this jug of EvapoRust probably 3 years ago. Never actually opened it. I had a project in mind, but never got to it. So hopefully it's still good. It does say that it needs to be above 65 degrees for this to work really well. And like I said before, it's 30 something outside. It should be close to 65 in here, but it's not going to be exact. It's definitely a little less than 65. But I'll tell you what, the ultrasonic by itself is incredible. I mean, this thing was caked in dirt, as you saw from earlier, and now it's clean, it's ratcheting nicely. So, and the initials of my grandfather are still on there, so I think that's super cool. I'm just gonna throw everything in here, why not? Come back in an hour. Now I know this stuff is non-toxic and safe, but figure we don't want to waste any of it, so we'll use some pliers here. Oh man, look at these Utica tool pliers. These things are looking pretty good. And you know what, while we're working on all of these tools, because truthfully, these look really good, and I think even in some ways we probably didn't even need them in here. I'm gonna leave the vice grips in here while we work on this, and then we'll pull those at the very end. If you're wondering why I have this apron on and the associated goggles, it is of course because we're gonna be using a wire wheel brush here pretty soon. I started wearing the apron, and of course I'm sure everybody knows this but me, but when you're using the wire wheel brush, as the little bristles start to fly off, they will stick everywhere in your clothing, and it's certainly not fun when you're done for the day and you start picking those out of your clothing. So man, the Snap-on is looking brand new. So cool. I'll tell you what, this is, in terms of like a usefulness project, probably not super high on the list. I think I've done some stuff that is more useful to like my family and I, especially within the house. But in terms of rewarding, I mean, this is just awesome. It's so just pleasing as you watch the wire brush take off, you know, years and years of buildup. It completely revealed my grandfather's initials on this thing, which is just super cool. And I think, like I said, once we get this polished up, I can't wait to show it to him. I think he's gonna be pretty taken aback just to see the shape that it's in. So clean your tools. It's a good way to spend some time, and it's very rewarding. Well, I don't know if I was being lazy, stubborn, or a combination of both. As good as this little Dremel works, one, these bristles are flying everywhere and being extremely annoying, and I pulled out the vice grips from the rust remover. It got most of it. Well, I don't know if that's actually true. It definitely got a lot of it. I mean, I can see rust in the bucket there, but this is just way too big to be trying to deal with the Dremel. So I got the Ryobi out of storage. I need to figure out how I'm gonna mount it on a workbench here permanently, and but I'm gonna try and turn it on and see what we can do here. Well, folks, had about enough wire wheeling for one day. Now let's see if we can't get these things polished. I'll tell you what, like I said, I'm going to see my grandfather on Tuesday, and I got these, both those, that plier and that wrench cleaned up. Very, very nice. So I cannot wait to show it to him. The vice grips came, I think, pretty good. All things considered, I think they were certainly the worst out of everything that you saw. Also, with respect to this Ryobi bench grinder, so this is a 2 amp, 3600 RPMs per minute. It's a 6-inch bench grinder with a 1/2-inch arbor. Don't buy it. I've had a lot of success with a lot of different Ryobi tools. This thing will stall even at the slightest, even when the slightest amount of pressure is added to it, which just makes using it all the more difficult. So I think there's probably some other better brands out there for this sort of thing. I'm still obviously happy with Ryobi and their power tools, or excuse me, like the battery powered stuff. Although I've mostly switched to Milwaukee these days, as you've seen. But I am still buying Ryobi sort of outdoor tools. I got their blower and a couple other things, but in general, these days when I feel like I've outgrown the Ryobi tool, I give it to somebody and just kind of move on. So this bench grinder, probably gonna meet a similar fate, because like I don't see how you could possibly sharpen a pair of, say, lawnmower blades on this thing. It just doesn't seem like it would hold up. All right, folks, so that's gonna wrap up today's video. Honestly, I may just sit here for an hour and stare at these, because I'm thrilled with how it all turned out. I'll throw up the before in case you've forgotten, but I mean, these things were dirty. These are all, I mean, I'm gonna say that every single tool here is at least 50 years old. And I think most of them are pushing 60 or even 70 years old, okay? So, super cool. The snap-on ratchet, the 5/8, I mean, it turns and it looks, I assume, just the same that it did the day that it was brand new. These Utica pliers, I mean, again, none of this is stuff I plan to really use. I think, like, to me, because it has my grandfather's initials on it and now it's clean and preserved, just something to look at, right? I mean, I talked a little bit about this when I did the unboxing, right? I mean, I love buying tools. Obviously, you all see that I have the Snap-on Bug now. So who knows where that's gonna take us. But the bottom line is, you know, when you buy nice tools, you don't really own them, right? It's the same when you have a nice watch. You're simply looking after it until you get ready to give it to someone in the future, right? Of course, you know, my grandfather couldn't have possibly known that 40, 50, 60 years, however, after he bought these tools, or in this case, had these custom made, that I'd be sitting here trying to breathe some new life into them. But that's, you know, I guess if I'm gonna be romantic about tools, that's how I'm gonna do it, right? So I had a ton of fun making this video. You know, videos like this are a little hard for me just in terms of making sure that I capture all the right footage for you. So let me know if you have any comments, and certainly if you have any insights into these tools, right? New Britain, obviously Snap-on, but the Thorson, Utica Tool Company, the original Vice Grip. I would love just to keep learning. You know, I wish there was like a great book on like the history of tools. I was looking for something about Snap-on and I couldn't really find much. So I don't know if there does exist such a thing, but if it does and you have a recommendation, I would love to hear it. I'm gonna go put these back in the toolbox. Speaking of which, I'm thinking a future video could be a Husky workbench or toolbox tour. So let me know if that's something you might be interested in. Be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.